seriously in coastal areas, because they are getting, in fact, very difficult to access for archaeological research. This also means that we have to help archaeological services in doing this research and actively cooperate with the archaeological services in the various countries to do research on the coast. Coastal research, also of submerged areas, is of extreme importance in the coming years, in my opinion, and I think I agree with Professor Tusa on this. Now, my second source of inspiration for a future agenda actually was this book. This book, which I bought a few weeks ago for 10 euros on an Amsterdam second-hand book market, and I never know whether it's a compliment that this book, it's William Taylor's Mycenaean Pottery, published in 1958, and on the one hand it's a compliment that after 58 years it's still for sale. On the other hand, I was disappointed by the price of 10 euros, but I don't know if this is a compliment or not. Now, what Taylor does in his book is actually quite interesting, because he has adopted an holistic approach. He treats the whole Mediterranean. He includes Spain, for example, which after his work has been excluded for a long time in the research of the Mediterranean. So what we need is a holistic approach where we compare among areas, where we critically assess not only whether something is present or something looks like something else in a specific area, but where we are able to critically assess the way the data sets are being made. And for example, we've been discussing this during the coffee break, it would be very good to compare different petrographical databases, sets of databases with each other, and the way conclusions are being made among them. A second, so a holistic approach in the spirit of Lord William Taylor of 1958, but not based solely on pottery. What we also need is a word that we appear to have been avoiding, and this is identity and ethnicity. Who were these people, and what? There was a discussion on it yesterday on how, to which group did these people feel that they belonged. And we talk about Mycenaean influences, but how did these postal Mycenaean people feel themselves? I'm sure they didn't call themselves, we are the post-Mycenaeans. I'm sure that they had some kind of way of identifying themselves, and as we know, identity becomes expressed especially in the framework of contact with other people. And so we should be in an ideal position to research aspects of identity and the ways in which it is materially expressed. The Cetina people surely didn't call themselves Cetina people. What were the characteristics? And this is why it's very important that we do not only look at specific types of pottery that are found in Greece and in the Balkans that appear to have resemblance to the Cetina culture, but actually that we see, and Helena Thomas, I was very glad to hear that Helena Thomas is planning this project. Where did this pottery come from? Does it originate there? How is the interaction, and how is it related to other aspects of material culture? All these aspects are part of identity which we cannot ignore, and which we should insert. The non-elites and the non-Mycenaeans are important in other respects. Now, these are a few things which I think that we should do, and in order to do so, I would like to make a case, and this is my last point, for the integration of data through greater international cooperation. We have various people, and I know young travels, I think, all over the Mediterranean, but we need to have better cooperation among scholars of different countries and better access, and this can be done through the technological resources which are at the moment available, but teams which are multinational and working in different areas, it is very good to have someone from Italy look at material in Western Greece and vice versa, because knowledge is only goes only so far, and we're all limited in this aspect. So we should have cooperation, and not just cooperation, but an integration of data by which we can critically assess the way conclusions that we make at conferences such as these are, how these have been derived. Now, in order to have such an integration of an international cooperation, I think we should have a conference such as this one every year, and we could preferably do it here at Ioannina. But I fear that Andreas Vlachopoulos would not survive the organization of this, right? But it is. I would like to close off with again thanking you. I would like that I've had a wonderful 3 days. They were very intense, and there were a lot of different topics were addressed, but it was fantastically organized. I would also like to thank very, very much the various students that were here, and that even with small glitches of technology did not, they did not panic, and they solved the problems immediately, and they were very efficient, and they helped me getting extra paper and code. So thank you very, very much, and. And I think we're all jealous of the t-shirts that and of course I would like to thank very much the organizers, Andreas Vlachopoulos, Professor Lolos, Professor Kotiadis, and last but certainly not least, Robert Laffineur for this wonderful conference. Thank you.
The final word will be mine. I have great news to announce to you. The proceedings of the present conference will be published. And that's very good news. So I would like to remind you some information about the publication. First, the precise instructions for publication will be downloadable from the conference website in the next days. As soon as I'm back in Belgium, it is next Monday, I'll send an information and instruction sheet to the Ioannina people, and this will be put on the website. As usual, the most important elements in this instruction sheet is that the papers have to be limited to 10 pages. I don't know exactly how many words that makes, how many signs, but you can look at one of the last Aegean books, especially at the Metaphysics volume, which is for you a necessity to buy a copy of it, to see exactly how many words that those 10 pages make. Also, I have to say that the posters will also be published. And for those contributions, I think that the authors of posters should be given the possibility to have a slightly longer text than what they have proposed on the posters themselves. For the illustrations, I also give instructions. Of course, you are free to reproduce every document that you think is needed. There is no limit, but please do not send hundreds of illustrations each, because this will be rather difficult to publish. Another important thing is the deadline for submission of the manuscript. You probably know that I usually impose very short deadlines. Usually the conferences take place in April, and I propose to send the manuscripts and illustration for the end of June, that is before getting in Greece or anywhere else for excavations. So this time, since we are now nearly at the end of May, end of June would be a little bit difficult, I think, for most of you. I propose to have additional delay, not the beginning of July, which would be not much more, but exceptionally the middle of September. Mid-September is the deadline. But of course, if some of you have their text, their manuscripts ready, they can send it as soon as possible. I remember that several years ago, before we had computers and computer technology, some colleagues used to give the text, the complete text of the paper, immediately after delivering them. It was wonderful, of course. But now it's more difficult, because you don't have necessarily a paper with a typewritten text, and you probably don't have a USB key to give it to me directly, so that I can take it with me to Belgium. But I remember, for instance, I attended one of the first conferences I attended was the second conference, the second Congress of Peloponnesian Studies, that was held in Patras in 1980, if I remember good. And I remember the great Milonas finishing to read his paper and getting to the desk of the chairman of the session and giving him very officially the text of his paper, the typewritten text. But that's not what I want, of course. When you send your text, you can use my email address, which is on the homepage of the website of the conference, and you are invited also to send a copy to the other three co-organizers, so that if there is something that gets lost in the mail, we can hope that at least one or two of the co-organizers will receive the text, and that we will be able to work. I think that that's all that I would like to tell to you on that matter. Maybe some of you, or many of you, are eager to know exactly where the next Aegean conference will take place. This is not a secret. This will be held in Venice. That's wonderful. Yeah. In Udine and in Venice, and the organizers will be Elisabetta Borgna and Filippo Carinci. and myself, of course. But I cannot tell you the topic, the exact topic, because this is still under discussion. But in the next weeks, I think that we'll be probably able to send you information on that matter. So my very, very last word will be see you in Venice in 2 years, probably April 2018. So thank you again to everybody, and a special thanks to the Ioannina organizers, Andreas. You have done a wonderful job. Janos and Michalis, you have done a wonderful job, and now it's my turn to begin working on the publication of the proceeding. Thank you.